Why choose vote counting as a measurement for labor productivity in Italy?
We look at vote counting because it's a very uniform task. It's a very simple task, and it requires very little skill or experience. So we feel like this is a measure of really labor productivity in its most simple form. And by looking at differences even in this very simple measure, being able to explain then differences in productivity in firms leads us to believe that there are some very, very deep differences for those differences in labor productivity.
In your lecture, you spoke of work ethic and culture. How do these two factors play into your findings?
So, we look at what are the residual possible explanations for this intrinsic labor productivity and differences in this intrinsic labor productivity. Given that in the vote counting task, there's no technology really involved, there's no physical capital involved, there's so little skill involved. The institutional incentives for electoral workers are the same in all parts of Italy. This leaves a very narrow set of possible explanations. And a powerful potential explanation is that there are simply differences in work habits or work ethic.
What are the implications of the results of the study on assessing labor productivity across Italy?
What we find is that our simple measure of intrinsic labor efficiency can narrow the gap between the south of Italy and the north of Italy by as much as 50% in terms of actual labor productivity at firms. Now, if the differences between north and south are so deep and intrinsic, this really does raise questions as to how far you can go merely with simple policies, with regulatory policies, or with sort of development assistance. It leads us to believe that maybe there are kind of deeper things, deeper sources for the differences in development that need to be addressed in order to narrow that gap between different parts of Italy.